Spending $45 million on a birthday celebration appears not to have made him happy either. He's kind of pissed off. I mean, he's pissed off at the soldiers. I mean, he's accusing them of hamming it up. And by that he seems to mean that they were having a good time, that they were waving, that they were enjoying themselves and showing a convivial face rather than a military face.
Interesting.
And he kind of reamed out Hegseth for this. Apparently there was a phone call and he said to Hegseth, the tone was all wrong. Why was the tone wrong? Who staged this? There was the tone problem. Trump, he keeps repeating himself. So that was the word on that phone call was tone. I would interpret that he wanted something menacing, I suppose, something military, like something like, this is the most staggering force in the world, and maybe it will come for you, instead of, I think it appeared to a lot of people that there was a kind of festive air. Everybody was actually celebrating something. The 250 years of the U.S. military, probably celebrating that more than Donald Trump's birthday. But it didn't send the message that he apparently wanted, which is that he was the commander-in-chief of this menacing enterprise.
That was author Michael Wolff speaking on the Daily Beast podcast, disclosing that Donald Trump is reportedly furious with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth because his $45 million military parade was, in Trump's view, a disaster. And why was it a disaster? Because the soldiers were, and I hope you're sitting down for this, having a good time. They were waving at people, they were enjoying themselves, and that made Donald Trump livid, because the whole point of this parade was that it was Donald Trump's entrance fee into the Autocrat Club, where the military parades look like this. But instead, this is what Trump got. In other words, Trump wanted a menacing show of force, but got a relatively lackluster parade instead. He wanted our soldiers to be intimidating, and for him, as commander-in-chief, to look intimidating. He didn't like that there was any celebration happening because he traffics in fear and wanted that to be the tone. You see, when he called it a birthday parade to the military, that was just window dressing. In actuality, this was about Trump having the opportunity to brand himself as menacing, and that wasn't at all the takeaway, and that made him really mad. Think about that for a moment. The President of the United States was angry at American soldiers for being human, for showing joy while serving their country, for connecting with the American people instead of looking like stone-faced enforcers of his will. What Trump really wanted, according to Wolff, is that, quote, he was the commander-in-chief of this menacing enterprise. A menacing enterprise. Trump doesn't want America's military to look like defenders of democracy. He wants them to look scary. He wants them to project fear and intimidation, not strength and service. He wants them to be his personal enforcers of his political agenda, which might explain, by the way, why the U.S. military is right now deployed to the dangerous faraway land of Los Angeles, California. Trump unleashed our own military on the second biggest city in the United States because, again, to him, our military is his own personal political force, there to convey an image of fear on behalf of their leader. Nothing is ever about anyone other than Donald Trump. And let's be clear, this obsession with military spectacle is not new for Trump. During his first term, he became jealous after watching a Bastille Day parade in France in 2017 and told Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, quote, "We're going to have to try and top it." But here's the thing, Democratic leaders in this country don't typically try to top military parades. You know who does? Autocrats, dictators, strongmen who govern through fear rather than consent. Look at who Trump admires. Vladimir Putin with his massive Red Square parades, Kim Jong-un with his goose-stepping soldiers, Xi Jinping with his perfectly choreographed displays of military might. These aren't celebrations of national defense. They are demonstrations of power designed to intimidate foreign adversaries and domestic opponents. And that is exactly what Trump wanted to recreate on American soil. This isn't about patriotism or honoring the troops. If Donald Trump actually respected the military, he wouldn't have called fallen soldiers suckers and losers, comments that his own former chief of staff, John Kelly, confirmed. This is about Donald Trump's desperation to be seen as a strongman, to be accepted into the exclusive club of authoritarian leaders who rule through displays of force rather than democratic legitimacy. And let's be clear about something else. This parade obsession perfectly encapsulates what Trump's entire second term has been about. From day one, it's been a nonstop display of brute force and raw power. We're seeing arrests of his political opponents on a weekly basis now, including literally today. We're seeing federal agents deployed to cities run by Democrats. We're seeing emergency declarations used to circumvent Congress and implement his Democratic agenda through executive force. The military parade was not an isolated incident. It was a symbol of everything he represents. He doesn't want to govern through persuasion or compromise or democratic processes. He wants to govern through intimidation, through shows of force, through making his opponents and critics fear the consequences of crossing him. And when the parade didn't deliver the authoritarian aesthetic that he was going for, when it looked too much like a celebration and not enough like a threat, he lashed out. This is a guy who claims 250,000 people attended when sources say that it was maybe 40,000. This is a man so detached from reality that he can't even accept that his intimidation parade was poorly attended and inappropriately joyful. The most telling part of this whole saga is Donald Trump's reaction to the soldiers being happy, though. In a healthy democracy, you want your military to be connected to the people that they actually serve. Again, they're not overseas. This is them marching in Washington, D.C., in the United States of America. You want them to wave and smile and show that they are proud to serve the American people rather than be cowed into submission by their commander-in-chief. But Trump sees that human connection as a problem and as a deviation from the menacing toll that he's trying to set. When strongmen hold military parades, the point is not to celebrate the military, it is to remind everyone watching that the leader controls the guns. It's to send a message that resistance is futile, that the full force of the state stands behind the autocrat's will. And when Trump's parade failed to send that message, when it looked too festive, too American, too democratic, he threw a fit. He blamed his defense secretary. He invented attendance numbers out of thin air. He spent the weekend sulking about the weather forecasters and bragging to foreign leaders about a parade that everybody could see it was a complete flop. And that parade might have been a flop, but it revealed something crucial about his mindset and his intentions. He doesn't want to be the president of a democracy. He wants to be the strongman of an authoritarian state. And every week that goes by, with more arrests of his political opponents and more displays of federal force, it makes it clearer and clearer. So when you see Trump raging about soldiers being too cheerful, remember what this really means. It means he views the military as his personal enforcement arm rather than defenders of the Constitution, which is why it's so crucial to fight back now and not wait until it's too late. Donald Trump is already putting his priorities on full display. We don't have the luxury of waiting. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.